Hey, what's going on, parents? Welcome back to another edition of Teenager Tuesday. We are starting a awesome series of podcasts coming up with the one and only Rhett Smith.
What's up, man?
Rhett, my man. Dude, thank you so much for being here.
I love this.
Seriously.
This is way high tech, more high tech than mine, so I'm excited.
We're fancy. We do things high quality. Hey, as a lot of you know, the number one thing, and I was telling you this earlier, the number one thing that parents are asking for advice on constantly is how to lead their student, how to grow their student, how to lead them through stress and anxiety. And so with this topic, you know, just kind of thinking and praying, I wanted to bring in an expert. And so you are an expert.
Well, it's funny. It's almost the only thing I get asked to speak on now these days for
Really?
the last couple of years, and that's all I've been doing during COVID is workshops on anxiety. And probably most of the clients who come see me have some anxiety-related issues.
Yeah.
And, I'm not an expert, but you can say that only because I suffer with anxiety myself.
Oh,
so
okay.
I have a lot of personal experience. So
Yeah. Well,
I'll say expert from that angle.
Yeah. Well, and it goes hand in hand too of like you deal with that and you kind of talked about that. I've actually gone to counseling with you to help manage my own levels of stress.
Such a mess together.
I used to people may not know that I used to be bad at harboring and managing stress, and I'd break out in hives, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But you've helped me so much. And man, we, just thinking and praying through how can we set up parents to win, like you're saying, especially this is on everybody's mind all the time. And like with this, every now and then I'll have a parent that'll kind of have the thought or the question of like, is anxiety and depression really this big of a thing, or is it an overblown thing? Because you hear these words all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it is that big of a deal. And I think the statistics and research bear that out. From college campuses down, anxiety is usually the number one reported issue that students and kids go see school counselor for or see their doctor for. It's also, since COVID, the numbers have skyrocketed. It's hard to believe statistics at certain times, but
I've seen numbers as high as 30 to 40% of the population 18 and under has some type of anxiety issue.
Okay.
And again, statistics are all over the place. Yeah. But if you're, let's say, in a room of kids, and I'm just because my math is not that great, let's say 100 kids,
okay,
it's safe to say probably that of that 100, 20 to 30 could probably be diagnosed with some type of anxiety disorder. And probably another 30 to 40 to 50 easily are wrestling with probably some level of anxiety.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I would say, maybe don't have it at that moment or are unaware that they have anxiety because they're living at such a high level of stress. They see it as normal and don't realize that it classifies as anxiety. So you just, from your perspective, you can look at that room safely and say, this is a group of kids wrestling with anxiety.
Yeah. So speaking of perspective, like what's a good starting point? We'll be doing this for a few weeks and kind of giving different sound bites throughout. So what's a good starting point, even when it just comes to thinking about anxiety?
Okay. Yeah. So if I would say anything to anybody, it's the most important thing to me. If you ever come work with me, if I talk to you or my friend, whatever, I just want you to know that you are normal if you have anxiety. I mean, part of being human is that we suffer and we go through difficult times in life, and nothing is wrong with you just because you have anxiety. Yeah. And so for me personally, I want people to take anxiety and to reframe it as an opportunity to grow. And instead to say, is something going on here that maybe I can tune into and listen to and understand what God is doing in my life? Because maybe I am doing something wrong I need to change.
Sure.
That's causing anxiety. And other times, maybe just it's life. Our bodies are changing. Life is stressful. School is stressful. Relationships. And I'm just struggling. And just know that you're not alone. And there's nothing shameful or wrong with you because you have anxiety.
Man, I love that perspective too, that parents can help give to students that are feeling that way too.
Yeah.
For them not to think, oh, there's something wrong with me because I feel this way. It may be shifting that perspective or even helping them see there's not something wrong with you necessarily. That maybe this is just a part of life, a part of growth. So how can they kind of balance, I don't know, like helping them with perspective, but also not like undermining their feelings, if that makes sense?
I mean, I think it's stuff that all of you and your leaders do here every week probably. And that is, I think, first of all, you just have to create a safe place for students and for kids to feel like they can open up and feel heard.
Yeah.
And that nothing is wrong with them for anxiety. And honestly, I don't think until you do that, that I don't think you can do, until you do that, you're able to actually enter into that conversation and begin the process of discerning like what actually is happening here. Is this something that needs to be addressed specifically this way or that way? And so I think I encourage parents and people just to listen for a while and understand, like, you know, I drove over here in a car. My car's got dashboards. Those lights tell me what's going on. And I can either ignore them and end up on the side of the road stranded, or pay attention to them and fill my car up with gas and change my tires and get here safely. I don't want people to see anxiety as like, it's simply information going on inside of us that says, hey, pay attention to me, pay attention. And I want parents and leaders to come alongside students and say, hey, let's talk about this. Like, let's have a conversation. And I think in that conversation, things will emerge that will help you understand how to best move in and help this person navigate the anxiety they're experiencing.
Yeah, so good. No, seriously, that's awesome. So a question kind of coming off of that is, where would you say would be a good barometer to know to balance on acknowledging anxiety or maybe overemphasizing or overthinking about anxiety?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like, can this thing kind of snowball too if you think too much?
Yeah, and that's tough. You know, to pick up on the car metaphor, it's like I was telling someone earlier today, like, if I'm driving, I want to see anxiety in the back of the seat in my rearview mirror. Like, I want to acknowledge it's there and it has a place and it's safely back there. My goal is not to get rid of it ever completely from my life, because at times it may need to jump up and grab the wheel and steer me away from danger, right? It serves a function, serves a purpose, but I don't want it running my life day to day. I don't want it to be this thing. And so I think probably I would encourage people to let's acknowledge it's there. And as we acknowledge it, then I think you can set yourself up to actually like figure out how to handle it and think about it in a healthy way. I think the danger is when we pretend it's not there, we keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And then it manifests itself in some negative ways.
Then it jumps up at you and you didn't know it was in the car.
And then you can overly dwell on it so you have anxiety about anxiety, which people talk about a lot.
Yeah.
But let's just put it on the table and talk about it.
Yeah. Man, I love that. And that's what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks. Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, Rhett, I think that's a great stopping point.
Okay.
I think it's good. You know, we've kind of talked about shifting a little bit of that perspective and helping, kind of giving parents a tip of there's not something wrong with their student, you know, necessarily. It's not like, hey, they're bad or there's something incomplete, but, you know, this is a part of their growth and everything. So, man, that's a good start.
I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. So, man, thank you for joining us today. Make sure that you tune in next week, every Tuesday. We're going to be talking with Rhett for the next few weeks. But signing off today, never forget this. You can do this. You're not alone. God's with you, and so are we. Have a great week.